When asked to think of an evil comic book character, there's a 99.9% chance that the Joker is the first one to pop into your head. With so many of DC's most depraved comic moments being the work of the Clown Prince of Crime, it's inevitable that he'd become synonymous with doing bad things, as when you see him in a comic, there's a strong chance that's exactly what he's up to. But having Joker only do evil deeds would really make for a dull character. One of the most exciting things about the Clown Prince is that he's unpredictable, and that you're as likely to get a weird knock-knock joke and a pat on the back from him as you are for him to remove your frontal cortex. This means that sometimes the clown does genuinely heroic things, such as the fact that he's actually been responsible for saving the world at least 3 times now. They're not always done for the right reasons, but even with this in mind, there's still a shocking number of occasions in which Joker has arguably been the hero of the story, whether we like to admit it or not. So, I'm Ewan, this is What Culture Comics, and here are the 10 most heroic things the Joker has ever done. Number 10. Turning on the Black Glove. Batman R.I.P. Villain team-ups are unpredictable at the best of times, as you've always a chance that these villains will turn on each other instead of the superhero they're supposed to be opposing, totally undermining the entire purpose of teaming up. With a villain as unpredictable as the Joker too, the chances of this happening skyrocket. This would serve to explain why the Laughing Prince decides to suddenly break his ties with the Black Glove, sabotaging their plans by allowing Batman to override the security locks on Arkham Asylum, trapping the members of the Glove inside. The villainous dinner party does technically provoke the Joker into doing this, by refusing to let him bet with the rest of the organization, but there's also a strong implication that the Pale Man has been setting up his nemesis to beat the villains all along. How so? He avoids initially fighting Batman because, quote, his nails are drying, which is up there with the time Josh told me he was out with friends when I keep nagging him to do a comics list. Number 9. Paying for Harley Quinn's university tuition. Batman Confidential. Big prefix here. Joker and Harley's relationship is toxic as hell, and most certainly not something DC should be looking to glorify. With that out of the way though, let's look at one of the few times Joker was genuinely nice to Harleen within the pages of Batman Confidential. Confidential is a funny old comic, shown nowhere better than when Joker initially meets Harley Quinn while she works in a bar, and pays off her entire university tuition after they've had approximately one conversation. It's not saving the world or anyone's life, sure, but the fact that it isn't a grand gesture means all the more, as it shows Joker is capable of gestures of kindness that extend beyond making sure he can still fight Batman. On a more practical level, it's also a pretty solid sign that the twisted Clown Prince has some capacity for compassion left within him, as he recognizes that Harley went out of her way to be kind to him and tries to do a good deed for her in return. Also, American university tuition can cost upwards of $240,000, which certainly would make you feel like whoever paid it off for you was a legitimate hero. Number 8. Teaming up with Batman. Dark Knight's Medal. Proving that the only thing Batman and Joker dislike more than each other is a person who is both of them combined, the mortal enemies join forces in order to fight the Batman who laughs within the pages of Dark Knight's Metal. Given that canonically this comic follows just after the Endgame series, a storyline that sees the pair actually kill each other, it takes some pretty heroic chops in the parts of both the Joker and Batman to put aside their differences in order to save the day. The fight also shows that, despite the Clown Prince's homicidal tendencies, he isn't as lax about the fate of the world as you'd expect, and that he actively wants to save the world when the person threatening it isn't him. It's always fun to see the Clown Prince of Crime and his beloved rival team up, but usually it is somewhat begrudgingly on both parts, whereas Dark Knight shows us a duo that is willing to join forces without even discussing it when their world is placed under threat. Number 7. Helping Gotham. Batman White Knight. While the Batman White Knight series is so full of kind Joker deeds it's almost cheating, it's still always worth remembering the way in which the comic highlights the very real potential for Gotham's madman to be heroic. After treating his insanity with a new experimental medicine, Jack Napier goes on to improve Gotham both as a politician and as a hero, fixing much of the city's corruption during his time in office, and then saving it when he risks his own life to stop his ex-sidekick turned supervillain known as the Neo Joker. Although these events do cause the medication helping him to become ineffective, which reverts the clown back to his old evil ways, Joker's brief desperate desire to protect and better Gotham is difficult to not see as heroic, even if it's coming from the same guy who tried to destroy the city in the first place. Number 6. Taking care of Harley. Emperor Joker. Turning someone into stars is rarely heroic, but the Emperor Joker series manages to achieve the impossible when Joker turning Harley Quinn into a constellation feels almost like a wholesome moment. After a conversation with DC's most famous sidekick before he ends the world, Joker appears to feel genuine concern for Harley's fate in the upcoming apocalypse and decides to avoid killing her entirely. Admittedly, this does involve making her into an immovable star trail, which is sort of just killing someone without all the violence, but it's clearly intended as a gesture of respect towards Harley, which is hard to ignore. It's not exactly romantic, but there's something about the Clown Prince going out of his way to ensure Harl gets to live on that hits you in the part of the heart you thought you'd lost when Jared Leto started making a knife angel in Suicide Squad. Dear God, that movie. Number 5. Saving Batman's secret identity. Detective Comics number 475. Often the best and most noble things we do in life are the things we don't tell people about, because these actions are done not for bragging rights or to gain people's favor, but out of a genuine desire to do good things, and to better the lives of those around us. While the Joker saves Batman's secret identity for significantly less well-meaning reasons, mainly so only he can defeat the Dark Knight, it's still undeniably an action that saved many lives. The Laughing Fish storyline involves Joker finding out that Rupert Thorne has discovered Bruce Wayne is Batman, and that the man intends to use this knowledge in order to have the Bat persecuted for his vigilantism. The unusual setup leads to the Joker springing to Batman's defense, and not killing Thorne, but instead informing him that letting others know his secret will be at the cost of Rupert's life, a sacrifice the businessman is not willing to make. Number 4. Turning against the Red Skull. Marvel vs. DC. If there is one thing that major comic companies have made reassuringly clear over the years, it's that they really cannot stand Nazis, with even their most evil villains reacting with disgust at the thought of the genocidal white supremacists. Which would explain why the Joker, who is often used as an example of pure unfiltered evil, does his best Aldo Rain impression when he discovers that the Red Skull, the villain he has been working with, is actually a Nazi. With a literal bastion of depravity denouncing Red Skull as far as to immediately try and fight him, it's a solid reminder that villains still have some moral standards, even if they're really low. With this taking place in a crossover comic between DC and Marvel, it's a real pick-me-up to see both franchises come together over one common enemy, just as they did in 1941. Number 3. Saving Batman's life. Batman Europa. Batman Europa feels sort of like if someone wrote a comic while under the impression that Batman's love interest was the Joker, and yet it somehow totally works, especially in terms of having Joker be a little more heroic than usual. When the pair visit Paris to try and find a cure for the poison that is slowly killing both of them, they manage to confront their enemies at precisely the worst possible time, with the serum causing Batman to fall into hallucinations that have him plummet off the side of the church the fight is taking place on. While Joker could have watched with glee as his long-term rival fell to an untimely death, he instead comes to his aid, shooting the Dark Knight's own grappling hook for the hero to catch on to. You could argue that this is only because Joker needs Batman to get the cure, but then Joker goes to save Batman instead of grabbing the hacker who could potentially find the cure in the first place, meaning the move could be seen as almost entirely heroic. Number 2. Helping humanity survive. Superman Distant Fires. Turns out all the Joker needs to become a good guy is just the end of society as we know it. When the world regresses to pretty much the Dark Ages with Superman Distant Fires, Joker is suddenly an absolute hero, breaking a lifetime streak of murderous intent to help one another. Joker actually becomes a pillar of the community, using his skills to rebuild society instead of just destroying it. It's completely surreal to see him and the Man of Steel working together, but in this specific scenario it works scarily well, and really emphasizes the way in which people had to forget the old way of living in order to make their future the best it can be. It's also kind of reassuring to know that, when the chips are down and the world's about to end, even the Joker can put his homicidal tendencies on the back burner in order to help humanity out. Number 1. Joker Saves the World. The Batman Who Laughs. With the Batman vs. Batman drama of the Who Laughs series being so spectacular, the surprisingly well-intentioned efforts of the Joker can easily go overlooked. As, through the comic, Joker pretty much continually risks his life trying to help save the world, purposely infecting Batman with his blood in such a way that he gives the Dark Knight maximum time to fight the Batman Who Laughs with the benefits of the Joker's blood affords him. Similarly, it's the Clown Prince who comes to help his heroic counterpart in the final fight, providing Bruce with the much-needed assistance he requires to defeat his evil alternate self. All jokes about only saving the world to fight Batman more aside, the clown does willingly put his every effort into defending the universe and those within it. How could he not be considered heroic? And that was our list. What are your favorite moments where the Joker showed his good side? Please remember to post your thoughts down in the comments below, like, share, and subscribe, and head back on over to whatculture.com for more lists and articles like this every day. As always, I've been Ewan. Send me your best Suicide Squad memes over on Twitter at EwanRuinsThings, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!
Hello YouTube, we're turning things up to 11 with the launch of What Culture Music.
It's our brand new channel featuring all those lists you just can't get enough of, including creepy hidden messages in your favourite pop songs,
as well as radio-friendly songs that detail literal murder. That's as well as chatty faces where we get personal with you on our sordid musical tastes, in-depth discussion podcasts, and we're even doing quality fun stuff like tournaments and quizzes too.
There's going to be something for everybody, so come on over and make some sweet music with us.
Or just watch the videos, that works too.
Like, share and subscribe at the link below, and we will see you there.
Bye.